I'm Dr. Keith Graham from the School of Teacher Education at National Taiwan Normal University. Welcome to my office hours. Today's question is about translation in the bilingual classroom. The teacher asks, should I translate a sentence I said if a few students in the class don't understand it? Many teachers new to bilingual education have questions about translation. Translating can feel like the quickest and easiest way to get students to understand what we said in English. But there are many reasons to use it sparingly or not at all. First, if translating is used often as a teaching strategy, students may become reliant on the translations and demand it from the teacher. Think about it. If you have a choice to use your stronger or weaker language for a task, which would you choose? I know for me, I almost always choose my stronger language, English, if I have a choice. And I believe our students are likely to make a similar decision. Why? Because it's easier. If a student knows that their teacher will translate, then why even bother struggling to understand the English? Frequent translation removes the need for English in the classroom for the student. And when students don't have a need for a language, then they don't develop that language. Second, if a teacher is not careful, translation can actually become an unconscious habit. The bilingual teachers I work with often know translating is not an ideal strategy. Yet, translation often still appears in their teaching. When I ask them, why did you translate? They indicate that they actually didn't realize they had. This is potentially a huge problem. I'm of the mind that bilingual teachers must make conscious decisions about their language use throughout the class. If a teacher decides to translate, there has to be a reason guiding that decision. Otherwise, we're just leaving the student's bilingual development up to chance. The third reason translation may not be ideal is that there's actually no guarantee that translation will solve the comprehension problem. I have had many teachers tell me that their subject is equally hard to understand in Mandarin Chinese and in English. When a student does not understand, the issue may not always be a language one. The student may not have enough background knowledge in the topic, or the teacher may be presenting the information in a manner that doesn't resonate with the student. In either of these situations, translation will do little to solve the problem. So, if translation is not the answer, what should teachers do instead? Well, that depends on how many students are struggling to comprehend. In today's question, the teacher said a few. So we'll assume that that's less than 20% of the class. If you are concerned a few students don't understand, then I personally think the best strategy is to say this. Okay, class, take 30 seconds, turn to the person next to you, tell them what we just talked about. I love this strategy for many reasons. It's quick, it requires no preparation, it can be used at any time with any topic, it promotes collaborative learning, and most of all, asking students to tell the person next to them what they just learned will actually serve to strengthen their understanding of the concept and possibly highlight any misunderstandings they might have. Ultimately, I believe this strategy promotes better learning than translation. However, a prerequisite for this strategy is that only a few students in the class do not understand. If more than 20% do not understand, other strategies such as using multimodality and translanguaging should be considered. But ultimately, if more than 20% of the class does not understand, then it probably was not a good choice to use English for that part of the lesson. Returning back to translating, I'm not saying that translation should never be used by bilingual teachers. But I do think it needs to be considered as a last resort, and only when other strategies have not been effective. Thank you for attending my office hours. If you have a question that you would like me to answer on this channel, please send me an email at kmgraham@ntnu.edu.tw. I'll see you next time.